If nobody in your immediate family has bought a home recently, or ever, you're navigating this process without something most buyers take for granted. You don't have a parent who can tell you what to expect at closing. You don't have a family member who went through the inspection process and can tell you what's normal and what's a red flag. You don't have anyone who knows what a good mortgage rate looks like or whether the contract you're about to sign has anything unusual in it. You're figuring this out from scratch, in a market that's more complicated than it's been in decades, with a process that was never designed to be self-explanatory. This video is the conversation you would have had with that family member, if you had one. Everything they would have told you that the industry is not going to volunteer on its own. Research consistently shows that first-generation home buyers, people buying without a family history of home ownership to draw on, pay more for their mortgages on average than buyers who grew up in home-owning households. They're more likely to accept the first offer from the first lender they talk to. They're less likely to know about down payment assistance programs. They're less likely to negotiate closing costs, and they're more likely to be steered toward loan products that aren't in their best interest. This isn't because first-gen buyers are less intelligent or less capable. It's because navigating any complex system is easier when you have someone in your corner who's been through it before. When you don't have that, you make decisions based on what feels right rather than what the data supports, and the industry knows this. The single most important thing a first-gen buyer can do is recognize that they're operating with an information disadvantage, not a financial one, and that the information disadvantage is entirely closable. To everything a family with a homeowning history knows is learnable. You're learning it right now. Here's the specific knowledge that gets transmitted informally in homeowning families and almost never reaches first-gen buyers through any other channel. Your pre-approval number isn't your budget. Families who've been through this know that the bank approves you for more than you should spend. And they've seen relatives get approved for $450,000 and buy a $280,000 home because they understood that the bank's ceiling and your comfortable budget are different numbers. First-gen buyers often hear the approval number and treat it as guidance rather than a maximum. It's a ceiling, not a recommendation. Shop multiple lenders. Nobody in the industry tells you to shop around because no individual lender benefits from you comparing their offer to a competitor's. But families who've been through this know that mortgage rates and fees vary significantly between lenders, and that the difference between the first lender you talk to and the best lender available to you can mean tens of thousands of dollars over the life of your loan. The inspection is not a formality. First-gen buyers sometimes treat the inspection as a box to check rather than a critical evaluation. Families who've owned homes know that inspectors find things always, and that understanding what they find and whether it's significant requires some baseline knowledge of how homes work. Attend your inspection in person. Walk through with the inspector. Ask every question you have. The inspector works for you. Agent commission is negotiable and the structure changed in 2024. Families with homeowning histories know that agent relationships and compensation are not fixed. The 2024 NAR settlement changed how buyers' agent commissions are disclosed and negotiated. Go into any agent relationship understanding that you have the right to ask exactly how they're compensated and what agreement they're asking you to sign before you commit. Your credit score will be pulled again before closing. Families know not to make any major financial moves after pre-approval. Opening a new credit card for the home improvement store discount, buying furniture on a new account, co-signing a loan for a family member. Any of these between pre-approval and closing can disrupt your financing. First-gen buyers often don't know this because nobody told them, and sometimes find out the hard way. Beyond the technical information, there's an emotional dimension to buying your first home as a first-gen buyer that deserves acknowledgement. The process is longer and more uncertain than most buyers expect. There will be a period, often several weeks, where you've submitted your offer, your loan is in underwriting, your inspection is done, and you're just waiting. Nothing is confirmed. Nothing is in your control. This is normal. It feels like it isn't. Families who've been through it can tell you this is the part where you just hold on. First-gen buyers often interpret the silence as something going wrong. You'll encounter people in the process who assume you know things you don't, loan officers who use jargon without defining it, title company representatives who hand you documents to sign without explaining them, agents who reference processes without walking through them. You have the right to ask for an explanation of anything you don't understand at any point without embarrassment if you're signing documents worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Clarity is not optional. You may feel like an imposter, like this process is for people who know what they're doing, and you're hoping nobody notices that you don't. Almost every first-gen buyer feels this at some point. It's the normal experience of doing something significant for the first time without a guide. The feeling doesn't mean you're not ready. It means you're paying attention. And when it closes, the feeling of being the first person in your family to own property, of having built something from scratch that your parents or grandparents didn't have access to, is unlike almost anything else you'll experience financially. That part is real too. The home buying ecosystem has resources that exist specifically to close the information gap for first-gen and low to moderate income buyers. Most people don't know they're there. HUD-approved housing counseling agencies offer free or low-cost, one-on-one counseling with a certified housing advisor. This isn't a sales pitch. It's a government-funded service designed to help first-time buyers understand the process, evaluate their options, and make informed decisions. You can find a HUD-approved counselor at hud.gov. This is one of the most underused resources available to first-gen buyers, and it costs nothing. NeighborWorks America operates a network of local nonprofit housing organizations that provide home buyer education, down payment assistance navigation, and direct counseling in communities across the country. If you search NeighborWorks plus your city, you'll likely find local resources you didn't know existed. State housing finance agencies, which we've covered in previous videos, exist specifically to serve buyers who don't have family wealth to draw on for a down payment. Their assistance programs are funded by federal and state sources and administered through approved lenders, and they are not well publicized. You have to look for them. First-gen specific loan products. Fannie Mae's Home Ready loan has specific provisions for first-gen buyers, including reduced PMI costs and the ability to count income from non-borrower household members toward qualification. Ask your lender specifically about Home Ready first-gen pricing. If you're buying your first home without a family playbook, you're doing something harder than it needs to look from the outside. The information that would have made it easier exists. Some of it is in this video, some of it is in every other video on this channel. Some of it is in the free resources from HUD and NeighborWorks and your state's housing finance agency. The disadvantage you started with isn't permanent, and it closes every time you learn something the industry was counting on you not knowing. You're going to figure this out, and when you do, you become the family member that the next generation doesn't have to go without. You're building something nobody handed you. Give this a like if it helped. Subscribe and bring someone along who's figuring this out without a blueprint. This channel exists for both of you.